Dear friends, this is N. Ravi Chhatri here in the episode of Mathematics and Statistics Learning. I am in the process of discussing the solution of a quadratic equation ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So far, we have discussed square root method, factor method, and completing the squares method. In the last episode, while discussing the method of completing the squares, we established the quadratic formula for solving quadratic equation ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Today in this 24th episode, I would like to discuss how to use the quadratic formula in solving the quadratic equation. Also, we shall discuss graphical solution as well. That makes you feel seeing is to believe in this visual process. If you'd like to refer to my past videos, please visit the following link of my channel, Mathematics and Statistics link. Without much delay, let's browse the page to discuss the solution of the quadratic questions using quadratic formula. This is the page, and this is the equation ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0 to solve using this quadratic formula. These numbers a, b, and c are called the coefficients of the equations. Different combinations of these values generate infinitely many quadratic equations. First, we need to have these values of a, b, and c to input in these user input boxes. There are two ways that we can have these values to input here. If we have a specific problem to solve, then we manually input the coefficient of the equation in these input boxes. Otherwise, if we don't have any specific problem, then we simply push this generate button that automatically fills the input boxes. Once these input boxes are filled with the values, we click this solve button to get the solution. Let's start first with manual input. A equals 4, B equals -7, C equals 2. Click this solve button. These are the coefficients, and this is the corresponding equation 4x squared minus 7x plus 2 equals 0 here. We plug in these values of the coefficient in this quadratic formula. That results this expression here. The expression inside the radical sign b square minus 4ac called the discriminant function is important to decide the nature of the roots. So we calculate its value here. It is positive 4.12. So it should have two distinct real roots. This is the simplified form with positive and negative sign here. Finally, with positive sign, we get this root here and other here considering the negative sign. These are the two distinct real roots of the quadratic equation 4x squared minus 7x plus 2 equals 0. Next, let us input a equals 1, b equals -10, and c equals 25, and click this solve button. These are the coefficients, and this is the corresponding equation x squared minus 10x plus 25 equals 0. The discriminant function here is 0. This results in the same root repeated twice here. So the root is 5 repeated twice here. Input for last specific problem. A equals 7, B equals -4, and C equals 5. Click the solve button. These are the coefficients. This is the corresponding equation 7x squared minus 4x plus 5 equals 0. Here the discriminant function is negative, so there is no any real roots. Both the roots are complex with I attached here. This is how we get the solution of any specific question that we want to solve. On the other hand, if we don't have any specific problem and no idea of the coefficients, then we click this generate button. That automatically fills these input boxes and we click solve button. It prints the solution along with the detailed process. You can click this generate button and solve button as many times as you like to repeat this process. If you want to run this program on your own, browse the web page of mine, www.teachyoumaths.com. This is the web page of mine. On Algebra tab, click Solve Quadratic Formula Method on the right of Quadratic Equation. You'll get to this page. Input the values of the coefficient A, B, C if you have any. Otherwise, click this generate button and solve. Repeat this process as many times as you like. Continue this process until you are perfect at using quadratic formula to solve the equation. Enjoy learning and have fun. Let's start the graphical method to solve the quadratic equation. This is the live method for solving quadratic equation. I am pretty sure you will love this method. You know the saying, a picture tells more than 1,000 words. That I am going to show you in real time now. Before going to the actual scene, first let's refresh some theory portion of this solution here. Graphical solution of this quadratic equation ax square plus bx plus c equals 0 is the solution of two functions. First one is this y equals ax square plus bx plus c, which represents a parabola. And the second function y equals 0, which is the equation of the x-axis. The intersection of these two functions is the solution of the quadratic equation ax square plus bx plus c equals 0. The solution is given by this expression. The nature of the roots is defined by the discriminant function b square minus 4ac, which is under the radical sign here in the solution, which is characterized as follows. If this discriminant function is greater than 0, there are two distinct real roots. If this is 0, there is only one root. If this discriminant function is less than 0, there is no any real roots, but there are two complex roots. The beauty of the graphical solution of the quadratic equation is the actual visual display of these characteristics that we are going to show here now. If this discriminant function is positive, two real roots means parabola crosses 2 points at the x-axis, giving two real roots. If this is 0, the parabola touches x-axis, giving only one root. If this function is negative, parabola does not cross x-axis. Now we know the theory behind the solution. Let's see how it looks in the visual display. Without much delay, let's browse the page. This is the page ready here to work. You can see here the input boxes for the coefficients. As before, we can fill these boxes two ways, either manually or by pressing this generate random values button. First, I will input here the same coefficient that we used in the formula method. You will see the real magic here. Let's start with the first one. A equals 4, B equals -7, and C equals 2. And press this solve button. Remember, in the quadratic formula method, I mentioned the discriminant function is positive for this function. So it has two distinct real roots that you can see here in real time. Here the points of intersection of the parabola and x-axis are the solutions. It intersects at two distinct points, this and this here. So these are the solution of the quadratic equation 4x square minus 7x plus 2 equals 0. Let's input the next set of coefficients. A equals 1, B equals negative 10, and C equals 25. Press this solve button. Remember in the previous method, we mentioned that the discriminant function is 0 for this equation. That makes same root repeated twice. We can see here the actual real picture. The solution, that is the intersection of the parabola and the x-axis, is a single touch point here, implies one root repeated twice. Let's input the coefficient for the next problem. A equals 7, B equals negative 4, and C equals 5. Click the solve button. Remember in the previous method, we mentioned that if the discriminant function b square minus 4ac is negative, it produces a complex root. Here we can see actually the discriminant function of this equation is negative. So here the parabola does not crosses this x-axis. So it doesn't have any real roots. It has only the complex roots. Here in the graph, we actually see that there is no any point of intersection to have the real roots. So it does not have any real roots. So it doesn't have any real solution, only complex solution that can be visualized in this graph. Now let's play with the generation of random coefficients. Let's click this button that generates random and then solve. Means here you have this equation corresponding to this coefficients and this parabola here. One important point to mention here, if the coefficient of x square is positive, parabola opens up. If it is negative, it opens down. So since this is negative 5, it is opening down. You see that this coefficient is positive, so parabola opens up. I'm pretty sure that you like this graphical method much compared to other methods because it is live. You can see the real picture here. Repeat this process to learn more. If you want to run this process on your own, browse the web page of mine, www.teachumath.com. This is the page. On Algebra tab, click Solve Graphical Method at the right of quadratic equation. You will get to this page. Input the values of the coefficients A, B, C if you have any. Otherwise, click Generate Random Values button that automatically fills the input boxes. Click Solve button to browse the detailed solution. Here is the equation corresponding to these coefficients, and here is the plot corresponding to this equation. Continue this process until you are perfect at using graphical methods to solve the quadratic equation. Enjoy learning and have fun. If you are more enthusiastic to learn quadratic equations, browse the web page of mine, www.teachumath.com, and continue. This is the page. On Algebra tab, click Quadratic Equation on the right of Basic Algebra. You will get to this page. Here you find everything what we have already learned in detail, such as quadratic generator that generates infinitely many equations, and different methods of solving quadratic equations, such as square root method that we have already learned, factor methods, this also we have discussed, complete square method, this Also, we have learned quadratic formula method. We have recently learned this, and this graphical method, just we have learned it. If you practice on this web page of mine, I am very sure that you will be one of the outstanding students in your class. Enjoy learning. Best wishes for your future endeavors and good luck.